Hey guys, it's Cal from the Lighting Doctor here. I hope you guys enjoy this video with some more great landscape lighting tips. To learn more about landscape lighting, go and check out our website at lightingdoctor.ca, or if you want to see what a real quality landscape light should look like, go and check out our Try It Before You Buy It offer, where you can get a premium quality fixture at a discounted rate with your very own battery pack, so you can go and test out how that light's going to look and feel what a real premium quality light should look like. So go and check us out at lightingdoctor.ca, or go watch more videos on YouTube just by searching for the Lighting Doctor. Hey Joshua, thanks for reaching out here. Yeah, I'd love to give you a few thoughts and a few ideas. I love your house. I love the pillars, the stonework, the second story stuff, as well as some of the stuff you're doing in the beds. I will talk about future plantings and stuff. I mean, any trees that you're planting that are eventually going to be, 6 to 20 feet, you're going to want to highlight with an uplight like this. Anything that is over 25 feet, which, I mean, you have a new landscape, so not something you have to worry about. You're going to want to use a slightly brighter bulb. The nice thing is with any of those trees you plant, and with these lights, a big reason why we choose this option is that as that tree grows and say eventually it gets over 25 feet, you can just swap out the bulbs in these for a brighter LED bulb to make sure that you're getting light to the top. So I like that. I like wash lights. If you're planting any lower line shrubs that are, say under 6 feet, any kind of unique features, statues, fountains and stuff like that in the yard, I really like the wash lights. It's a less intense light. It's a wider angle, softer light. It does great for any of that lower line stuff. And then I'll just mention the option of, some different path lights. Modern path lights are really popular right now. They are a little bit pricier, but it's a really cool look. But for your application, I think these guys would work really nice too, because these ones spread light about 270 degrees in front and to the side, whereas this one's 360, and I'll show you why that is kind of important in a project like yours. So what I would do is I would use my standard accent light like I just talked about, and I would have it to light these pillars, and I'll just try and give you an example of kind of what we're going for. As you can see here, we're a house like this where we've kind of lit those pillars. Again, you can see just some examples of how some of these trees are lit. This is obviously a very wide, expansive tree, and same thing, if you're planting any of those and they're small to start, you can start with one light, and then down the road as it gets bigger, you can add another light to catch different angles. But this is kind of showing you because this will be very similar look to what we're going to go with on your property. So I would have my accent lights on both of these pillars to light up the stonework, light up the pillars. And as you can see on the picture here, what I like about doing that is see how the light hits the top and you kind of get some reflective light. It almost creates like a lit archway. It looks like you have those areas lit. That's why I like doing that in those areas, not too far back from the house, maybe 18 inches to 12 inches back from these pillars, almost shining straight up to light this whole entryway. I would do the same on this pillar here. And then I would keep that theme somewhat consistent across the front of the house here. And I think what I would do is I would try and get one of those accent lights kind of right up in the middle section here. And then I would probably try and do the same kind of underneath the windows, again, fairly close, that's just shining almost straight up, so that you just have that consistent light pattern across the whole front. And the nice thing is you will get some reflective light that's going to come back down to light some of these areas. But this is where you also may want to add a little bit of path lighting. So for example, if you lit both of these, you may want to throw a path and garden light here and a path and garden light here, just to highlight the front of the bed and whatever you might plant, as well as it, because it has that 360, it's going to splash light back onto this area too and help light what I believe is a little bit of stonework and stuff there too. And then as you plant the trees kind of over here or along these sides, that's where I would use the accent light to accent those again. And really you're just creating symmetry and balance as much as possible. I mean, it's the same as I talk about beautiful people have symmetrical faces. I wouldn't know, but that's what they say. Same thing when it comes to lighting. The more symmetry you can have and balance, the more natural it looks, and it just it looks like it fits. So that's what I would do there. And then same thing on this side with the path and garden lights, and especially because you have a pathway here. I mean, if you were to throw those accent lights there, you might throw a path light in here, you might throw one kind of in here, you might throw one kind of in here, and you might throw another one or two over here to help light the pathway. And it's not so much that you're you're trying to light the whole pathway or get the proper spread or anything. It's more that you're just getting some kind of consistent spacing between those, whether it be 3 lights, 4 lights, or 5 lights, just so it looks natural and you don't have like 2 lights right by each other and then one over here and then one over here. You just want to kind of get that consistent spacing. The other thing I will talk about, and I just want to cruise through the pictures. Yeah, and something else you could do, I mean, if you're planning on extending the beds over here, I'm going to see if I can grab another picture I have of a property where you can see here where there's, you know, maybe there's not a whole lot to light, but they still took the opportunity to go and throw a couple of those accent lights here just to highlight the side of the house and really just extend the viewing angle, so it's not just in the front, but also coming around from the side, you see that lit up. The only thing you may want to consider on yours is if you're planning on extending this bed at all, then you can just use a standard accent light. I think same thing, just having consistent spacing throughout this area. And this is where I would probably use a brighter bulb. I would probably use that 35 watt equivalent one that I talked about. So just by upgrading the intensity a little bit, you're going to get slightly brighter and it's going to do a better job of reaching the upper peaks. The nice thing is because you have the white trim, that's really going to shine and really going to glow. And if you extend that bed, you can just use those standard accent lights, which is nice. But if this is going to stay grass, then you're probably going to want to use an in-ground light, which basically it does the same effect as this. The only difference is you can put these flush in the lawn, and then you can just mow over them and you're not having to trim around knuckles and worry about them getting knocked over and stuff. But same effect, just different applications. So hopefully that makes sense. And then, you know, and then around the back and stuff, I would just plan to add later. I probably wouldn't do a whole lot back here yet until you kind of have a bit more of a design concept. And just keep in mind viewing angle, because whatever you're going to plant, you want to consider. If you're building a back deck here, there's awesome lighting deck options that we can talk about. But if you're looking out and you've got some trees and stuff planted, I mean, you want to go and highlight those. So I would just plan to add on later, based on the amount of lights we're talking about and the transformer that we could recommend. You could easily have room to do that. And a lighting plan or design should always be able to do that, because your landscape's always going to change. So you're going to be wanting to add on stuff later anyway. So I always tell people, do it in stages. Take your time. You can always add on as long as you plan for that up front. So that's probably what I would do for the time being, and just kind of leave it as is for now. And then this area is maybe where you might want to do the same as you've done on the other side, just so that you have that consistent balance of having that accent lighting, you know, kind of up here. And you might just throw two, kind of one back here and one back here, just so you have that consistent flow around the house. You could do that in the back, but I really don't think you have to, because nobody's necessarily going to see that. If you want to do anything in the back, if you have another power source and wanted to run a different transformer, I'm not even sure if these trees are yours, but I like the idea of perimeter lighting and just accenting a few of those with some accent lights. Reason being is because at night you look out and it's just a big dark space, but if you were to accent a few of those, now all of a sudden you kind of see your whole yard. And again, I don't know if those are yours to accent, but just something to consider. I love the bed area you have here. You could definitely, like I said, if you're planting a tree here, you accent that guy. You may want to throw some path and garden lights in here. Usually I'm not a big fan of doing it around the driveway, but where this would look nice is because you have the light colored rock. You're going to get a lot of reflective light off of that. I would try and enhance that by wherever you're going to put those path lights. Maybe you plant a couple, I don't know, unique low growing, whether they be flowers or some kind of shrubs beside them, so that you really get the effect. Because you have lighter colored stone, you're going to get a lot of reflective light from those path lights, so you almost get more bang for your buck. So I don't hate the idea of having maybe 3 of those around here, because it's directly off the pathway too. You know, I'm not as concerned about them getting run over and stuff. So something else to consider. We talked about this, and I think I would stick with the plan there. The only other area I was going to mention is the top of the house here. I'm a big fan of trying to light these
these second story peaks because I don't think enough people do it, and I think it really elevates your landscape lighting design. Really easy to do. Usually what we do is we actually just run wire right up in the gutter in the east trough, and then we'll go and actually mount a light here and mount a light over here. So same thing, you come up this side and you come up this side and mount a light using these gutter mounts like this, and you have just a standard accent light that goes now, and really you're having it shine up to these peaks. And I always get the question, well, is that going to be too much light in the window? And rarely is it ever, because one of two things is probably an unused space or bonus room, and if it is a bedroom, most people typically have that closed, their curtains closed anyway, but even so, it's still a very subtle light, and you're more trying to direct it towards these top peaks. But that's something that would guaranteed elevate your lighting plan beyond what most people will do. And if you wanted to even take it a step further, from this light you could even run a wire up here, mount another light here that gets this peak. So just a couple options for you. I know that's a lot, but you got a good property, and like I said, start smaller. You can always add on later as your landscape plan develops. So let me know how else I can help, and we can go from there. Thanks, Joshua.
So now that we've selected our lights, I often talk about you got to go and just place all the lights roughly where you want them. You're going to want to come back at night, see how everything looks, because you might want to make some adjustments. But usually I'll go around and just do that. Just dig a small hole, place the lights, get them set where I think I want them, and leave lots of room, because the other thing I always suggest is leave lots of extra wire at every single fixture, so that if you do need to move them, you're not having to cut wires. You can just move the light around and you've got lots of wire to play with. And the other reason you want to dig that big hole is because then you can easily hide that wire and bury it nice and snug when you're all done. So it's really the first step is placing your lights, laying out the wire, and then going to get everything wired up, which I'll show you how we do now. Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video presentation with some great tips and tools on how to go and properly and effectively light up your landscape. And be sure, if you want your own free consultation video, just send me an email at cal@lightingdoctor.ca with a few pictures of your property, and we'll get back to you with some really cool ideas and ways to go and effectively light your property. And be sure to watch the videos after this one for more tips on how to install landscape lighting, as well as how to light up your landscape the best way possible.